Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3. Is this thing on? Hello and welcome to Gutter Farms. We're back with another episode of UMRV, Upper Mississippi River Valley, and we've been gone for a while, probably close to a month since I've recorded any episodes. We've sprinkled a couple in here and there as I was able to, but we are finally back, and we're going to be diving back into things more or less where we left off here. I've been really enjoying this series, and I want to keep going. We are getting close now to the winter months where I'm finally, hopefully, going to be able to upgrade the map to the latest version without too many issues. I probably should have just gone ahead and done that before I started putting episodes out again, but I was so excited to be back. I wanted to jump right back into this. We have the big tractor here with the manure spreader finishing up spreading on this field here because we are going to be putting some corn back over here. And if we just jump up in here to the map mode real quick, let's take a look at our precision farming data. You can see that we did a good job. We've got stuff spread on fields 3 and 7 as well as 23, which is what we're working on right now. We just got to finish up the headlands. Our grass fields should have all the bales ready to go here. I think the only other thing we were working on was some tillage. And yes, indeed, we finished tilling up on field 3. I'm guessing that's our 9630 RT sitting here ready to go. So all we've got to do now is jump over here and do a little bit of tillage on, was that field 6 that's right over here, the other cornfield that we've got. So let's go ahead and do that. And as you can see, we got both of our fields all baled up there. I did finish a little bit of baling off camera, I think, after the last episode. So all we've got to do is pick that up. I believe I purchased a new bale trailer, an auto load trailer for the squares. We were doing the round bales back last time we did bales on the farm, and loading those all up manually. That was a lot of work. And so you can just see in the distance over there with the pickup hooked up to a gooseneck trailer. I believe I've got the 82 Studios 50-foot auto load bale trailer set up over there. So we'll be taking a look at that. But we haven't done tillage manually for quite some time here. So I'm going to go ahead and knock this field out here real quick. We've got a nice wide implement here. We might as well do a little bit on our own. Now, let's see, we'll be slightly realistic about this. We'll jump across some rows. Let me see if we can find our GPS interfaces here. Get this all set up. Don't want to go too far because this is gonna adjust our line on us a little bit. Oh no, maybe not. We're good to go. Besides doing some tillage here on this field and picking up the bales, I think we're pretty well good to go until next summer on this farm. We've got, or until the spring, I would say, on the farm. I don't think we've got a lot else going on here in the fall that we need to do other than feeding some cows. I don't remember the last time we checked in on things. We've got all of our calves here in the bottom barn. They've got plenty of food. We're just feeding them hay for the time being until they grow up. There's no sense in wasting the money on the TMR until we're ready to start milking. And these two barns are all set. We've got almost 200,000 liters of food there and 226, mostly because there's a little bit of hay. So looking at our TMR, 193. So they're about equal between the two. We've got a lot of slurry in this back tank. We've been pulling out of the first barn here as we've been doing our fields. So we'll have to remember to pull some of that slurry out of the other barn here to make sure that we're not going to get full and waste all of this wonderfully free fertilizer. We may have to look into one of the mods where we can sell that at some point as well, just because we are going to get to a point, I think, where we're producing more than we need on the farm. Oh my goodness, we're lost in the trees. And I think our second GPS track is going to take us too far into the woods here, so we're going to go ahead and get over a little bit here as we move around this bunch of trees, and then I'll get us back on track. I don't tend to skip rows too often, but usually with tillage, that's how we always did it. So we're gonna jump over here. I'm loving this 2410. This thing works out great for doing the tillage on these big fields, and we've got a lot of big fields, and I'd like to start buying up some more land. I know we just bought this really large field to my right here in the last season. I'm hoping after we sell our grain in the summer here, we've got a lot of soybeans stacked up in the bins right now. I think we sold off or used all of our corn, but the soybeans should sell for quite a bit, and we will be able to finally buy some more land on the farm. If we look at our time-saving stock check mod, we do indeed have just over 200,000 liters of soybeans here, which was going to be almost $500,000 when we sell that, which is going to be awesome. And just reminding myself, we are almost $3 million in debt. We are making a profit every day with our milks, though, from the dairy. We do indeed make more money than we spend in a given day between the leasing costs and all of the land that we've got. This field is probably actually not that big enough. We've got a pretty steep angle that we're doing on our tillage here, so it's probably not big enough for skipping rows with this big of a piece of tillage equipment. I probably should have just kept going row by row here. Oh well, it is what it is at this point. We will just keep going with our pattern here. No sense mucking things up. However, I do need to come up here and figure out where my appropriate turn in is to start heading back down the rows. I know we'll have this headland pass all the way around at the end that we'll be able to catch up on things with, but we might as well do our best to not have any missed bits in the field. On our way back down this field, this is going really quick. We're going to be able to knock this thing out with, probably 2 more passes over on the other side there. There's not a lot of this field when you're going on the diagonal. I probably should have just gone straight. It's a nice long straight field, and we would have been done with it with a little less goofing around, but I'm always making things a little bit more difficult on myself, trying to step up the realism just a little bit from time to time. I'm looking forward, though, to getting some more upgrades on this farm. I think we could use another, at least one more big tractor for some of these big jobs, just because we've had different pieces of equipment on different implements, and that has prevented us from being able to start some of these jobs earlier. Like the tillage, I believe I had this tractor on the grain cart, which prevented me from getting started on the tillage while we were still harvesting. And I think the farm is at a big enough spot now where we can afford to have a few more concurrent workers going. And I'd love to get somebody in the tillage tractor as soon as possible. As soon as we start working on those first cornfields, we can get tillage going. I know some of the farms around where I used to work, I always remember tillage getting out in the field even the same day that you had the harvest equipment out there, or within a day or two. And it was not unheard of to see some tillage going on in a field that was actually being harvested at the same time on the other end of the field. So we're going to try and keep improving our farm's capacity to get things done here. And I'm also looking forward to getting some new equipment on the farm. I think for me, that's the funnest part of Farm Sim, is playing with the progression and growing up our farm over time, and getting those shiny new toys going as soon as they come in is part of that fun. Now I'm going to go ahead and let GPS help me figure out where the right spot is to get back into this field. There we go. And yeah, like I said, I think by the time I get down to the other end with this, there's not going to be much left other than headlands to do in this field. Maybe a little bit in the corner here, we'll see. I'm waiting until we're past the edge of the grass to set this implement down. I think for me, one thing that would be fun, we've talked about doing realistic based farming at some point and trying to go all real for everything. And I would love to run equipment and leave the create fields option turned on for all of my tillage equipment all the time, which would require me to be real careful when I'm doing my headland passes and stuff, and if I mess up and I go too far, that I'm actually destroying that grass and changing the shape of the field just like you might in real life. I think that would be a lot of fun to kind of implement those level of personal difficulty on a series. So we're working on where we might do that here soon. I'm not sure exactly when I want to jump into an ultra realistic setup. That's something that we'll have to queue up for a new series here soon, I think, just because that gameplay is going to be very different than what I've done in a lot of series. I think we're going to try and go a lot more in cab. We're going to use a lot more of these more realistic settings, and I don't know, it's going to be a little bit different style of farm, so stay tuned for that. That's one thing that I've been talking about a lot, but I think it's just about time to dive in and experience that. Now I'm backing up here because I want to get a little bit closer. Whoops, switch our gears out here. I want to get a little bit closer to the edge of this field here. And so this is one of the things where I'm saying I wouldn't be able to do it like this in a realistic mode because I'd be widening this field out way too far. So we'll have to definitely do some practicing and get a little bit better at driving vehicles, pay a little bit more attention to things if we're gonna try and do something like that. But I figure we're kind of done back in this corner here. I might as well clean up a good chunk of that as we move around the corner here. And it looks like I'm gonna have to come back just a little bit here before we get to running up our headland pass. That's all right. I was thinking we were a little closer to the edge of the field here than we were. So always off on my estimates for how many passes we've got to make on things. But we're getting better. We'll swing right around here though. We'll get this corner cleaned up. I'm just checking to make sure we didn't have anything to clean up on this field. We had Course Play take out the bulk of that field for us. Everything looks good. So I think what we'll do is come clean up this little triangle we missed out here, and then spin back around and knock out our headland pass. Oh, I missed a little bit down here on the outside edge too. The perfectionist in me needs to go hit this. There we go. Cleaning up all the missed bits. I need to come out here and smooth out some of these field edges a little bit. It's a little rough back here by the tree line. We cleaned up all of the bottom end of that field over there, but apparently I never went and cleaned up the back of this field by the tree line. There's some really uneven bits that'll make it, difficult to do tillage at times, but luckily this 2410 seems to handle the uneven terrain a lot better than some of the other tillage equipment we've run with in the past. And it looks like I've got just a little bit of cleanup to do on the other side of the field here as well. We've got not much on this headland pass because we were turning around on the grass there pretty good. So I'm just gonna take the corner, back up, and we'll get spun back around here. And I think the big question is whether or not that first time I turned around, if I was close enough to the dirt here, or if I'm going to have a spot left. I'm thinking I'm going to have just the tiniest triangle left over here. I'm going to try and get an AB line going here along the edge of the field. There we go, just to make sure I'm driving straight. And yeah, just a couple of rows there that we're gonna end up missing. We'll hit that on the way back down, I suppose, since we are ending up on the wrong end of the field doing the headlands like this. That's all right. And just like this, we'll get it all knocked out. Last a little bit, and we'll be done with fall tillage for the year, I think. Perfect. Looking good. Well, let's just pull over here on the edge of the field and get this all folded up. No sense bouncing it all the way down our nicely tilled field. And we'll go ahead and run this back up to the farm here and jump over into the pickup truck and go pick up our bales here, I think, is the next big thing to do on the farm. We should probably check in on that manure spreader, though, just to make sure that it's finished up that other field. I want to say it should have finished by now. It only had a few rounds left on the headland passes there. But you never know. Stuff has a tendency to get mucked up from time to time. However, I have to say I've been truly impressed with the course play and auto drive integration there for knocking out the headlands and coming back up to the farm to refill the manure. And it just kind of keeps going. We'd never be able to do that manually with that narrow of an implement in this big of fields. But the combination of those two things is definitely letting us stack up on the realism here. You'd definitely want to see that manure getting used on a big dairy like this. And I think I can squeeze through this gate with the tillage equipment. Perfect. All right. Now, I probably should have taken this thing up into the yard and gotten it all pressure washed, but I have forgotten all about that. I don't recall if I bring this thing in the shed usually or leave it parked out in the yard somewhere. We're gonna try and squeeze in here with the tillage equipment. Dope. It didn't fit. I think it's just because this grain cart's in my way. Oh dear. Oh no. Oh yeah, this will fit in here. No problem. So I'm just gonna pull forward a little bit here and then see if I can back this over. Keep it on one side so that if I need to get some other equipment in and out of here, it's not a huge hassle. There we go. Perfect. And then just jumping up here, it looks like we are indeed all done with this other field. So let's go ahead and get this guy run back up to the farm here. We've probably got some other fields that we could spread on. However, I'm only putting down manure on the fields where we're going to be putting corn next year. And I think we've got to run some beans for profitability and just mixing up our crops. Now, there's a crop rotation mod out on the mod hub, I've heard. So when I switch over to the new version of the map here, I'm going to try and remember to get that mod going, since I'm already rotating my crops just from a realism perspective. Might as well add in the mod that actually forces me to do that. Gives me a little bit of a yield bonus as well, maybe. I don't remember how that mod works. However, right now we're just rotating our crops with precision farming to take advantage of the fact that soybeans are putting some of that nitrogen back in the fields for us. That's what we want to see. And man, this equipment is really dirty too. We're going to have to take everything through the pressure washer at some point soon. However, I think for right now, I do want to get over into picking up all those bales and making sure that that mod's going to work. So I think I'll just bring this back to where we've got all of our slurry in the back of the yard here. Maybe I'll even top it off. I don't know if you're supposed to really store slurry in these tanks for any amount of time. However, I think from a farm sim perspective, it'll help me remember that we need to take some slurry out of the appropriate tanks here. I had one that was getting really full, and I want to make sure we can take care of that. We're driving like a maniac right now. Not used to this big articulated tractor. I've been off of Farm Sim for too long here. My driving skills, which were not great to begin with, have definitely atrophied a bit. Now, before I fill this up, I want to check and make sure I'm filling the right, out of the right pit. We'll see here if this isn't going to give me an interface. So I think what I need to do is hop out, and if I walk up to it, no. I was hoping it would tell me how much manure there was in that one. Maybe if I walk up to the barn itself, I'll get the little pop-up. There's the pop-up. So this one has 560,000 liters. I think this is the one that we need, versus this one only has 185,000 liters. Perfect. So I think that this is hooked up to there, and we'll get that all shut down. And I'm just going to come back into the barn here, and we'll double check that we pulled something out of there. I don't even know. 543,000 liters in there. I don't know. Whatever. 185. We pulled some out of somewhere. It's all good. So without further ado, let's jump into our pickup, bringing this trailer out here. We've got 2 fields with bales that we're gonna need to go and get. And I'm hoping, since this is such a huge trailer, that we're gonna be able to get at least a whole field's worth of bales out in a single run. We do only have the 2 small fields to pick up bales in right now. I want to say I'm going to be able to squeeze one last cutting out of the other 2 fields, but I'm not sure yet. We're going to have to look into that. I don't know where they're at in the growth cycles here. And our little pickup, I do enjoy driving this pickup, because I actually owned a red Chevy Silverado at one point that looked almost exactly like this. However, I think it's probably a little bit small for the trailer we're hauling here. We're going to put this thing into operating position, and let's see how it does. Oh, perfect. All right, and it's going to pick up from both sides, so this is going to be a piece of cake. Now, I realized too late that our bales aren't quite the largest size that we could have gotten. And so we've got to get the baler tweaked and make sure we're running our bales in appropriate sizes. I think we ended up doing something like 220 millimeter, centimeter, probably centimeter bales. I don't even remember. But I think we can actually do 240s, and that was something that I just didn't realize I could pay attention to on the baler, and I don't see any reason not to go for the largest individual bale size. I hate working with bales, so we want to make sure we have as few bales as physically possible whenever I'm running with bales. And I think we've got everything picked up here. So let's go ahead and actually try and jump over into the other field here and see if we can get all the bales on a single trailer load here. I guess I wasn't expecting to be able to jump them up into stacks of 3 high. I think in my mind I was figuring that they'd only be 2 high there, which is awesome. That's a whole another layer of bales that we can get. Gotta move this 7810 out of the driveway. I've actually really enjoyed running around with the 7810. It's been a great tractor for us. A little bit small for the front loader work that we were trying to do with it, but from a baling tractor, it's been awesome, and it was actually really good as a little planter tractor with the smaller planter that we've got. We may have to upgrade if we want to go up to a much larger planter at some point. We've got the was it a DB90 or DB120 that I demoed in the last season for the planting the corn in that one field. So we'll have to look into doing the big upgrade like that soon when we've got just a little bit more money. We're getting close. And my goal was to park this in this shed here. I'm not sure. Maybe I can squeeze in there still. Yeah, perfect. All right, we'll do that. And we'll run all the way back over here to the truck and see if we can grab the last of these bales. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get all these on here. As I'm looking at how many bales we've got left, it's going to be close. We've probably got room for 6 more. Yeah, I think I'm going to have 1 bale left in the field. Of course I am. That's how things go for us. Let's see, we're gonna go to transporting position. Get these all strapped down. Interesting, when I strap the bales, the weight becomes way too much for this truck, which is realistic. This truck should never be able to pull this many bales, I don't think so. Strapping them down, I think the physics becomes real. Maybe I'll turn it back into operating position for a second. I'm worried these are all gonna fall off on me. All right, well, let's see how unloading is gonna go here. I've got my bales. I think I've got this building set up to accept square bales. I think I'm gonna have to put this back into the transporting position. And then I'm gonna just back along into here. Maybe I need to get quite a bit further over. I'm not exactly in the right spot here. There we go. All right, that doesn't seem to be doing anything. How do I unload this? I wonder if they're just on the trailer now, and maybe I need to get them down. Oh, 220 centimeter. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. I have 220 centimeter bales, and my building is set up with 240, yeah. Okay, so let me see. R. Configuration. We're gonna go to 220. There we go. Now we can unload this. Unfortunately, it does look like the trailer's too high, so we will use our impressive strength to knock these down. And I think what I'm gonna do is, knowing that I've got to get all of these into this zone, let's go ahead and move this over just a little bit. Give me more of the zone to work with. Why is this one not going in? Ah, the zone isn't where I thought it was. It's actually to the inside of the unloading zone. So we could have left the trailer where it was. Well, in that case, hang on. Am I doing everything the hard way then? Usually I am. Let's double check. If I just drive this over here instead. Oh, perfect. Okay. Problems solved, folks. Look at that. We've got a number of hay bales now to work with. We are going to have to now figure out how to incorporate this into our feed strategy again. Working with bales did slow us down. I liked having everything in the silo. I guess I could always just toss the bales into the silo still. We might have to give that a try at some point. We did have 1 bale left out in that field. Maybe I'll give that a shot with that 1 bale and we'll see if that's going to work for us or not. That way at least I know we can store the bales in the shed there. And then when we want, I can just move them over here into the harvest store for appropriate mixing. Yeah, not so much gonna work. I think we will have to put them in the mixer. I suppose I could fill the mixer up with the bales and then dump a whole load from the mixer into there. Let's try that real quick. I think that'll work. I don't know why it wouldn't work. That might be our easiest path forward. Load this thing up to the top with hay and then just bring it over here and dump the hay right back into this. I've got a bale still stuck in there though. Let me see. I always forget that that's a bit of an issue. Yeah, this is safe. Definitely wouldn't want to be standing in here in reality. That's all right. We'll get her done. And 1 bale of hay is 25% of this thing. Nice. I think I need to switch which side. I don't remember how to do that. There we go. So it does look like the hay is going back into here. And then if I just check, I do see the hay in here along with my chaff. Everything is looking good now. Oh, that's right. I'm full of chaff and I'm full of silage. We are just full up here. Good. Well, with that, I think we can go ahead and get everything shut down. I think we've accomplished everything we set out to do in today's episode. We've got all of this hay picked up. We got done with all of our tillage. We got done with all of the fertilizing that we need to do. I think the last things we might want to do on the farm... Oh no, we've got another growth stage or two to get through before this is ready for cutting. And I think maybe the same on the other side here. This side's looking a little fuller. I can never quite tell when it's done and ready, but yeah, I think we might be ready to go for now, and we'll try and squeeze in one more cutting of hay on these two fields in November. We'll see. November's starting to get a little late for realism, and we've got silage in these two, I believe. So we're good to go. We've got everything we need to get through the winter on this map, I think. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode. We're getting back into things, finding our groove. We'll be back with more UMRV soon, and looking forward to starting off on another new series at some point. That's all for today. Kedrick out. Oh, stop. What is this? No, stop. What is going on here?